Women of Reddit, how do you feel when someone looks at you boobs while in a conversation? I'm an ex-hairstylist, and when I would cut men's hair and would be standing in front of them cutting bangs or something of that nature, I could just feel their eyes burning a hole into my chest. I did have one guy tell me straight up on the middle of our conversation, "I'm looking at your cleavage," and he did this weird chuckle. I had no words. He tipped well though. 3. When I was a teenager, I had a favorite hairstylist who would press her boobs against me when she was working on my hair. Against my back, against my shoulders, and sometimes even right up in my face. And my dad wondered why I went to the hair salon instead of the barber shop with him, going so far as to call me gay for wanting to go and hang around with the girls in the beauty shop. He really didn't get me. Apologies to the women of the world when I'm staring into oblivion and your boobs happen to be on my direction. Yeah, I do this a lot. I'm always worried people are going to think I'm staring at them. I had that happen once at school. I was staring off into space when a girl on the other side of the room yelled at me. She wasn't there when I started, but good luck explaining that. Depends on how they do it. If it's a quick glance, it's fine. That's normal and feels mostly involuntary on behalf of the person looking. I notice, but it doesn't bother me. If they stare at my boobs while other people are talking, or worse, while I'm talking, that makes me uncomfortable. Fortunately, I've experienced glancing a lot more frequently. The glance is definitely involuntary instinct. I had an elderly principal in junior high who still wore pretty low cut shirts and did a quick up down shift every time, even when I didn't want to. Honesty, I'm used it. Unless they are gawking or being creepy about it, I don't give it a second thought. In the 80s and maybe 90s, they'd sometimes say sarcastically, "Take a picture, it'll last longer." I think they stopped saying that when cell phones started all coming with decent quality built-in cameras. I'm sure a few people responded by pulling out their phone cameras, and that was probably the end of that saying. When women wear graphic t-shirts with writing on their chest, I'm always hesitant to read it because I don't want to look like a jackass. I can tell when someone is reading my shirt versus just staring at my boobs. I don't mind people stopping and taking a good look at the text. I know it's hard to read. I'll even turn and fully face them so they can read it properly. I don't mind this at all. If I'm going to slap a message on my tits, I'm doing it cause I want people to read the message. No biggie. In fact, asking a woman "What does your shirt say?" is a really good way to break the ice. Edit. I've seen multiple people mention feeling uncomfortable reading name tags. It's always okay to read name tags. They're literally there to be read. I've seen some women put their name tags on their upper sleeve if they felt uncomfortable with drawing attention to their left tit, so in that instance you'll know a woman doesn't want you staring at her chest. If you're really uncomfortable with reading a name tag, that's okay. Just introduce yourself and then ask their name. Well, I have to go, but isn't dressed like a mom, so I usually panic thinking that I spilled something on them. It's probably because I got spaghetti sauce on my boxy striped button-down shirt that 5 other moms at the park are wearing. So in this case it wasn't vomit on the sweater already, but it was mom's spaghetti. I'm more comfortable with that than eye contact. Edit. Thank you for the unexpected reaction. Mostly positive. Please note that I'm not sending anyone PMs of my tits for you to wank over, despite the money offers, but thanks anyway. Edit 2. Thank you all so much for the lovely comments about my photography. It truly means a lot. Excuse me, my boobs are down here. I'm sorry. I was just reading your face mask. I'm pregnant, so this happens a lot. Look, we know it's a subconscious thing, so at least don't make it obvious. I'm all for pregnancy is beautiful and all that. But the amount of times my wife said she got hit on while pregnant is mind-blowing. At what point does a man say, "This lady is 6 months pregnant and has a ring on her finger. I'm going to go for it"? Edit. Changed "she got it on" to "she got hit on." That's a big typo. She's pregnant, therefore, she puts out those guys. If that's all they're focused on, then it's a problem. Like, my eyes are up here and we're talking. Come on. WTF is wrong with you? But sneaking glances or whatever doesn't bug me. I fully admit I've done it when talking to girls. Will just flick my eyes down for a second and get a glance. But don't stare. Never stare. That's one of the more uncomfortable things anybody can do, emo. Same with looking at a butt. Get a glance, don't stare. We're all human and size one another up. It's just the way we are wired. Lol. The other day I was looking at my young child run up to me from a distance and a woman walked into my line of sight. She started to get mad at me. I'm assuming she thought I was staring at her ass, lol. Then my son runs past her into my arms and she looked so embarrassed. Anyway, she did have a nice ass. I understand they are attractive to guys, especially at a teenage, and I catch a lot of people getting a glimpse, but I don't mind. Anyways, there was this one guy staring off into space at them. That's when I asked to be excused for a bit. Sometimes it just happens that you are staring off into space while they're in your line of sight. You aren't even really processing your vision, so you don't notice what you're looking at. If someone glances and looks away, all is good. Sometimes it's involuntary and sometimes I purposely wear a top that makes me boobs look good, so don't mind at all. If someone is really weird and creepily staring at them, is definitely call them out for making me uncomfortable. I usually catch myself glancing down at them involuntarily and then spend the rest of the conversation awkwardly trying to avoid any glances down their LMAO. Doesn't happen to me much since they are tiny, but it has happened. I don't get offended, but it is so awkward. Like they've been hypnotized or something. Lol. Hypnotized really is the perfect word for the facial expression. I wish we could show it to them from up off. I wonder if a woman's worn a cam at eye level and maybe a boob cam too. Lol. Then she could cut the footage down to just an assemblage of the glances. Some people are good at doing just a quick glance. Many hold the glance for a couple extra beats though, and get that hypnotized look. As far as my answer for the op, so long as it's not a rude gawk, and isn't someone who it feels uncomfortable to experience doing that, like an authority figure or minor, it doesn't faze me. Even with the latter group, it usually doesn't faze me much. I consider it an understandable response. We all have things that catch our senses. No big deal, so long as they're not being rude. The hypnotized expression does mildly amuse me. That's largely because I enjoy coming across a perspective so different from my own. It's interesting to me how something can look so mundane to me and be hypnosis inducing to someone else. I get offended. But then again, I'm a fat dude, so I don't think this question pertains to me. Fuck you for ruining my imagination. Or making it better. Thank you for the immaculate thoughts. A casual glance is fine. On the other hand, staring a hole in your chest is way different. I had a weird manager who would fix eyes on my chest even for a brief encounter. The first time, I didn't want to jump to conclusions. But, he kept doing it, as if it was totally fine, or he was oblivious. He also would lean over my shoulder, kind of in an exaggerated way, while I was sitting in front of the computer. I felt trapped. Besides the obvious awkwardness and uncomfortable feeling everyone has pointed out, I kind of feel just a bit powerful. Like, yeah, you were looking at my boobs, weren't you? My feminine wiles have successfully trapped you, and alas, you are now forced into your bubble of embarrassment after realizing what you've done. Good. My middle school math teacher was a no kidding model, like ads of her around town. She wore thin flowy blouses and was iconically feminine. She was really fun and interesting as a teacher too. Needless to say, she would literally have us watching her every move and hanging on her every word. Once she dropped an eraser or something and bent over to pick it up. Full on cleavage with a barely there lacy bra. Tanned perfection. You would have thought we had all seen God from the commotion. Funny thing was, no one was disrespectful. We were all completely in love, and I think she knows. Then some selfish piece of shit married her, and she moved away. While having a conversation, it's horrible and invasive. I have tried several times that grown men don't look me in the eyes, but at my boobs during a whole conversation. It's uncomfortable and irritating to say the least, and it makes me wonder how they don't realize, since I'm looking in their eyes, and therefore notices that they aren't looking back into mine. Humans have white around their pupils, so we can use our eyes for communicating and follow glances. Come on. Flattered. Nearly every time. Unless you are one of the following. Related to me, or in a position of power, boss, teacher, coach, If you don't stare, I'm also okay with public transport or work setting or friends. They are just boobs, and I know they are nice. I agree. Edit. Formatting. I think the quick glances aren't even glances, you're just averting eye contact, and the boobs happen to be the first item when one looks down from a person's face. This happened to me with my daughters, which I used to find odd, but then realized what was happening. I'm not glancing, I'm just not holding eye contact. I fixed this by just training myself to look to the side when avoiding eye contact instead of down. Now I seem distracted, but better that than feeling like a weirdo while around women. The end. Thanks for watching.